Hey guys, Dantix here bringing you a review of Arkane's latest title, Deathloop. This first-person action-adventure game has been a wild ride, taking me back to the 60s Bond films I used to watch with my father, with that mixed-in sci-fi flair that Arkane are known for. But you're here to learn more about the game and see if it's for you without those nasty spoilers. So buckle up and let's get into it. Deathloop starts with your character Colt waking up on a beach with a hangover, unable to remember any past events. Right now it's revealed that you're on an island stuck in a time loop. When the day ends or you die, you're right back on that beach. It's Groundhog Day, baby, and you get to live it. The game is all about uncovering mysteries, discovering clues, and finding out more yourself. So for the sake of spoilers, I'll have to leave the story synopsis there.
Oh, they just disappeared? That felt too easy. I've done this before, haven't I?
You're in a loop. Great, so what? Well, the loop adds interesting mechanics to the game. Deathloop is, for a lack of a better word, essentially a roguelike, wherein if you die, you lose your gear and have to start from the beginning. However, Deathloop blends roguelike with traditional Arkane gameplay in a wonderful amalgamation of intrigue, exploration, and action. It captures how it feels to be a super spy, a 60s themed investigator/assassin trying to find clues in order to end the loop. The goal sounds simple, but to do so, you have to kill all the visionaries before the day ends. This will destabilize the loop. The visionaries are fleshed out characters and your key targets, usually heavily guarded or difficult to get to.
Loop preservation protocol. A bunch of big words to make a simple point. I kill every visionary in one day, I break the loop, period. I know where they spend time, but I'm guessing it won't be as easy as hunting them down. Good thing I'm one stubborn motherfucker.
Okay, so kill them and exit. Where's the challenge, Dan? Well, first, they're in difficult locations. Second, they're only available at specific times. Third, they have vastly different goals and motivations. Fourth, you have initially little idea how to line them all up except the clues that you'll need to investigate. You'll become a super sleuth, tracking around different open world locations at different times of the day to follow leads and enact schemes in order to try and manipulate them all so you can swiftly assassinate them in a row. Like the A-Team, you'll love it when your plan comes together. In a way, the final moments feel like playing out a perfectly constructed heist movie. Though the meat of the game is setting the groundwork, you're rewarded for exploring. You start off with relatively nothing, a low quality weapon that will constantly jam on you, no powers, some grenades, and the ability to hack turrets and cameras. This is where Deathloop will be the most difficult, as basic enemies will kill you fairly quickly. As you progress through, you'll find better quality guns, mods, and powers, all increasing your effectiveness and giving you more tools. Meanwhile, you're also being indirectly trained to use your arsenal in effective ways, so you'll eventually be powering through the levels. You'll be returning to the same areas a lot, so it gives you the opportunity to try out different combinations of tools or approaches a lot more than other titles. You also aren't punished for not finding everything on your first time through. In fact, you won't be able to find everything on your first time through, even your first few times through a stage. Not without more information or the right tools. But Dan, when you die, you'll lose everything, right? Wrong. You'll learn how to save your gear through loops using a currency called Residium, which you can absorb from items around the world, on dead visionaries, or when you break down existing items. So it becomes a matter of spending what you earn on gear you want to keep. You very quickly toss your grey quality items and mods in the trash for those juicy modded ones. A lot is thrown at you at the start, so do your best not to be overwhelmed. The game does a great job of letting you take things as they come, so follow objectives until you get your head around it. You need to unlearn your gamer need to not move on until you do absolutely everything. It's actually not at all that complicated a game, though I made the mistake of not reading properly and breaking down key items for Residium, thinking that they'd return on another day. Whoops, don't do that. Like mentioned, you'll find clues and leads which you remember between loops, and the game's UI effectively helps you track what you should be looking into next. In some ways, I wish it didn't make leads so easy to track or give you such great prompts like autofilling codes. Normally, I'd be completely for these living improvements, but in a game about discovering mysteries, I wanted to work a little bit harder, read notes more carefully, and have a bit more trial and error. I found myself not bothering to read notes later in the game because I knew the game would save the important bits for me. Like classic Myst in its lack of hand holding. Most of the time, to get into locked areas, a code is required. I haven't tested it yet, but I hope these are randomly generated because, and I can't stress this enough, the worst thing you can do for yourself is to look up solutions or guides. I'm sure a capable speedrunner will get through this title in 15 minutes or less eventually, because they'll know exactly what to do. A person looking at guides will be destroying their fun more than a usual title because the journey will be circumvented completely by doing so. The fun is in the discovery and exploration. In a way, playing this before release was kind of a blessing for me because there were no guides I could fall back on when I found myself stumped.
Black Reef. Must be the low season.
I made this, I think.
After a brief tutorial of sorts, which doesn't at all feel like a tutorial, you're given freedom to really approach the game how you want. You start off in the morning able to pick from one of the 4 areas. You can explore this area for as long as you want, there isn't a time limit. However, when you exit the area, time will pass to noon, then afternoon, then evening, then you wake back up on a new day, so 16 total combinations of areas and times. You're given leads to follow to get new powers, weapons, and to line your ducks up, aka the Visionaries, for the end game. You can kill them before the end though, just expect them to still be alive when you get back up in the morning. The game pushes you towards killing these Visionaries to strip their bodies of Residium, mods, guns, and powers. Killing Visionaries is the only way to find these powers. Juliana is one of the Visionaries, a special one that randomly spawns somewhere in the level you're in and hunts you down. More on her later. So, if you already have a power and it drops again, you'll get a modification to the power that you can slot in. Powers include the ability to turn invisible, teleport short distances, link targets together so they share the same fate, enter a berserk state, and a Jedi-like force push ability. If I have one gripe, it's that there really aren't many of these powers, and some just aren't that useful. There also really aren't many types of weapons either. There are a few base guns, different rarities of those with different perks, and then unique legendary weapons that are usually at the end of a lead you need to track down. There's also not a lot of variety in enemy types as well. You get your basic drones with different weapon types, your Visionaries, turrets, and that's it. All this lowers the replay value for me because once you've seen what's to offer gameplay wise and finished the story, there really isn't much more except, of course, multiplayer. Yes, Deathloop has multiplayer. Remember when I said that Juliana can randomly spawn in your level? Well, she's controlled by an AI, except if you open your game up, and then people can join as Juliana and try to disrupt your progress by taking you out. I didn't get a chance to test this feature as I was playing solo, so I can't comment on how it plays out. Suffice to say, I would have played on friends only mode or private unless I was having fun on stream. If you kill Juliana, you get rewarded with more loot than other Visionaries, including 2 shards, the things that give you powers or upgrade your powers, and she has the added benefit of refreshing your retries, of which you get 2 before you're knocked back to the morning.
Guess they don't teach. Watch out!
The gameplay is satisfying in the typical Arkane fashion, zany action with knee-exploding stealth. Though at the start, it's hard to effectively stealth around. I say hard, but it's not impossible. Once you get the tools, enemies will seem like blind morons, forgiving sounds and sights that would wake Beethoven from the grave. The AI isn't the most intelligent around. In fact, I only struggled staying hidden on the final day of the game. Once I learned what was required though, this too was easy. I found a silent submachine gun fairly early on, and when I modded it, it would one headshot kill enemies from max range, was automatic and silent. This trivialized almost all sections which required stealth. That being said, this game isn't about the combat. You die very quickly in open firefights, so it requires you to take your time and be a bit methodical. Unless, of course, you have the right gear, then go nuts. Killing enemies does very little in advancing your character, most dropping nothing but the basic weapon they were carrying, and since there's no experience in this game at all, you don't get that either. Enemies are roadblocks to getting what you want, and man are they satisfying roadblocks. Killing is fun, there I said it, and I never found myself getting tired of it. This is a game you play after a long day at work when you want to feel like a hero. Graphically, Deathloop is what you'd expect. It looks like it could have been released a few years ago and retains that stylized Arkane look. However, it's smooth, clean, and conveys the information you need quickly and efficiently. I witnessed no game-breaking bugs, only the occasional very minor graphical one. If you're looking to be wowed, this isn't the game for you. Instead, download a modded Crysis. Where it shines though is in its art style. It nails the aesthetic of a 60s Bond film down to the locations, gear, UI, and sounds. Yes, the sounds had that same 60s spy film feel, down to the pops that I can't quite describe. Yes, that's the one. I had Goldeneye 64 flashbacks on multiple occasions, especially the dam level. The sound design is top notch, and the music, though not memorable or catchy, set the ambience and feel quite brilliantly. There really isn't more to say about it. Now, I've outlined what you can expect, and it's mostly positive. I have to say that the game won't be for everyone. If you haven't liked Arkane titles in the past, like Prey and Dishonored, it's unlikely you'll like this one. If you're looking for something that's going to challenge you, this isn't Dark Souls. If you're looking for that RPG variety or replayability, Deathloop doesn't have it. It's a 20+ hour experience, but it's an experience I personally very much enjoyed. I hope this game kicks off others that nail the investigation, spy, or heist formula. This is the only game in recent memory, especially one that's roguelike and semi-open world, that makes both fun without being monotonous. If you like these styles of games, or simply are a fan of spy movies and games, I recommend picking it up. Deathloop is a memorable, nostalgic experience to get you through a dull time in the world. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know below what you think. Are you picking Deathloop up? Your likes and comments help YouTube realize that I'm an alright guy, and I hope you think so too. For all things RPG and Deathloop, you're in the right place. Until next time, ciao friends.